long time no video. This may be the reason why. As you guys can see, we have a baby. So if you guys have followed my channel, you guys will know I was pregnant and I stopped making videos around like 24 weeks. Oh. You okay? I stopped making videos around 24 weeks for not really any particular reason. It just kind of happened. And then everything after that happened really quickly. So I'm just going to update you guys really quickly. And the reason I'm doing this is because it'll make sense in a little bit when I come to like the labor and delivery story, like the actual story. At 24 weeks, I think everything was going good. I had my glucose test came back normal. A strep B test came back normal. All my results for everything came back normal. My iodine. I was just watching a show that had iodine pills in it, so that's what I'm saying. That my iron was a little low, so they did tell me to take iron pills. That was at my 36-week appointment. From 30 weeks on, she was measuring bigger. They told me she was measuring bigger. At my 32-week appointment, I did a growth scan, and she was measuring, they said she was like in the 64th percentile, but her, they said I had a lot of amniotic fluid. So she wasn't as big as they thought she was measuring. Like I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So basically it was like she wasn't measuring as big as they thought because the fact that like I had so much amniotic fluid, she was measuring bigger. Then at my 6-week appointment, they measured another growth scan for my 37-week appointment. So this is where things get interesting. So 37-week appointment, I go in, get my growth scan. They say she's measuring at about 7 pounds. I don't know what range is normal for 37 weeks, but the doctor seemed to be okay with it. They said, once again, I just had a lot of amniotic fluid, and the ultrasound tech said not to come after her if she ended up bigger than 7 pounds, but we'll get into that in a minute. So basically everything was good at my 37-week appointment. I had the ultrasound tech also really quickly at my 36-week appointment. I was half a centimeter dilated. They didn't check me at my 37-week appointment though. They just did the ultrasound, the growth scan, and then I talked to my actual doctor, and he was just talking about how excited he was that I had made it to full term. So, and he told me, his exact words were, doesn't mean you're gonna have a baby today, but a baby could be coming really soon. Which, yeah. At this point, at my 37-week appointment, everything was still super normal. I'm just going to be very honest. I was very blessed. I had a very easy pregnancy, a very normal pregnancy. All my vitals stayed normal the entire time. Every test that I took came back normal and good. So I had a really good pregnancy compared to what so many other people dealt with. I mean, my pregnancy was really, it was really good. Her due date was on February 13th. So at my 37-week appointment, that was on a Wednesday. Like I said, everything was normal. The next day was a Thursday. I worked until 12:30. So in the afternoon, like not like middle of the night, 12:30. So I worked till 12:30. I work from home. So Matt, which is my boyfriend, happened to be home. That day, he just happened to be on standby from work, so we were very lucky for that, and everything happens for a reason, and here go my birds. I'm so sorry. It had been raining all morning, and we have a carport, so it's obviously like concrete, and then it goes to grass, like when you obviously aren't in the carport anymore. Well, I wasn't walking in the carport, I was walking around it, and I came around the corner of the carport and I slipped, and I fell. I fell backwards onto the concrete in the carport, and once again, it had been raining, so I slipped on like muddy grass water. It was, yeah. So I had like a bag in my hand, my coffee, and my phone, and Matt had literally just walked inside like seconds before me. So I just grabbed my phone and I call him, and I just simply say like I fell. I heard his footsteps in the house like running, and he ran outside. He got me up, and I just started bawling from the shock of me falling and knowing that I was 37 weeks pregnant, and I didn't, you know, I just wanted to be safe, and I wanted her to be safe and make sure that she was okay. So we went inside. He helped me take off my pants, and as he was like pulling them down, he saw on my leg, he was like, oh my God. And I was like, what? And I look, and I have like this really big like scrape on my thigh. And he was like, okay, go lay down on the couch and I'm going to clean it up. So he comes over. I'm trying not to freak out. I text my mom and my sister immediately, letting them know that I fell, kind of like talking back and forth, asking what I should do, if I should call the doctor or not. We basically came to the conclusion I needed to call the doctor, so that's what I did. When I was on the phone with her, I was explaining to her what happened, and she was saying, you know, she goes, so you do need to come in, you need to get monitored for 4 hours. I immediately started crying and I almost like was panicking, having like a panic attack. And she was like trying to tell me, you need to stay calm. It's okay. This happens. We just need to check out, make sure the baby's okay, make sure you're okay, blah, 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 blah. But I think what also scared me is that she said I needed to go into like the emergency hospital, like pregnancy hospital part. I don't know what they call it. I can't remember. But like that's what really I think freaked me out, that I wasn't just going into like the regular doctor, but she had me going to the hospital. And so yeah, basically I had on my boyfriend's sweatpants, his work t-shirt, and that's it. That's all I had on me. We didn't have a hospital bag packed or anything. We had nothing. We literally just had the clothes on our back. We did bring a phone charger because she said 4 hours, and my phone was like dying, and his phone was as well. So we did bring a phone charger. But that's all that we had. So we drive to the hospital, which was about 30 minutes away. So we drive to the hospital. I got to the hospital. I guess we got like into the room probably around 2. So I fell around 12:30. We were there in a room by 2. And when we get into the room, they start just checking everything, ask me what happened, and they check my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was really high. So the doctor started asking me if I was anxious, and it's like, well, I mean, hello, lady, I just fell. So, I mean, I would assume I'm a little anxious. I have a child in me. I'm 37 weeks pregnant, you know, like, anyways. So they were like, okay, we need to take a couple tests. We need to do a urine test, some blood tests, and we need to like just check this out, see what's going on. So they did the test. We were there. We were updating everybody. And then she comes back in and tells me I have protein in my urine. So basically, if you don't know about this, if you have high blood pressure, protein in your urine, and there's a couple of other tests too, it can mean that you have it means you have pre-eclampsia basically. So the day before, my blood pressure was fine, which is what is super weird about this. I mean, it was like a miracle in disguise, I guess, that I fell. Although obviously, like, I wish I didn't fall. It was a good thing that I did, because I wouldn't have gone into the hospital, because I felt totally fine. There are signs of pre-eclampsia. I didn't have any of them. I felt totally normal, like literally just, I've been going about my day. I obviously was like tired and exhausted because I was 37 weeks pregnant, but like there was no other major signs of anything wrong. So she was like, okay. She's like, well, by the way, the urine test or the protein in my urine and the high blood pressure were the only signs I had. They do have to check your like platelet counts and everything like that. All the blood testing came back normal. So the doctor, at this point, this doctor that was telling me all of this was not my actual OB. This was just the doctor that was on that emergency pregnancy floor, kind of checking in on all the patients. We were waiting for my actual OB doctor to get there. By the way, though, my doctor is like connected literally to the hospital. So, I mean, they obviously have people there all the time, but we were waiting for my doctor to come. So then we're just sitting there, and she tells me, so yeah, you might want to like let your family know that to get anything that you guys need, you're probably going to be delivering. And I honestly don't think in my head, like, I heard her. I just was kind of sitting there, and then like a couple seconds later, I was like, wait a minute, what did she just say? And I was like, wait. I was like, so I need to tell my family that I could be staying because we're going to deliver the baby. She goes, yes. And she just kind of stares at me. And at that moment, Matt and I, our faces, like, I wish I had a camera on us. Our faces, like, we just looked at each other and we're like, what? Like, I did not expect to stay, if I'm being totally honest. I didn't expect to stay. It was just really caught us off guard. So she left the room. This is the second time I almost had a little mini panic attack. I started to like almost hyperventilate and start to like tear up because it was just the shock of it all and not expecting it. I mean, I knew, once again, like I knew, you know, I'm 37 weeks pregnant. I could have a baby at any time, but like I didn't know that it was going to happen like this. You know what I mean? I was expecting to be at home and, you know what I mean, like start having contractions and all this kind of stuff, and it just didn't happen like that. So I think that's why all these little steps and you okay? I think that's why all these little like steps and things that happen along the way kind of triggered that like natural like panic reaction where I just kind of almost hyperventilated and started breathing really heavily and like tear up and wanted to like basically panic because I was just so shocked by it all, because it all just happened so quickly and it was nowhere near what I thought was going to happen, because like I said too, my pregnancy was so normal. So anyways, my OB comes in. She was like, you know, you are full term, and because of your blood pressure and you have pre-eclampsia issues, it's just safer for us to go ahead and induce you and get you going and get this baby delivered. So I was like, okay. She checked me. I was 1 centimeter dilated at this point, so I'd already dilated another ½ centimeter since the week before. And she was like, okay, she's like, this is what's going to happen. She kind of tells me what's going to happen, which we'll get into. And yeah, she admitted me. So we get admitted. We go into our labor room, our delivery room. And at this point, it's probably about 4. And they, like I said, they just kind of get me hooked up to my IV, everything like that, you know, just like your typical stuff when you're going in. So I knew I wasn't going to get induced until the morning after. So what they do and what they did is me and my fiance stayed that night. What they had to do was put a balloon Foley. By the way, if you're young or you don't like graphic stuff, I would just go and click out of this video. I'm going to be very detailed because I don't like watching videos like this and people don't go into detail of what actually happened. I'm a very open book, so if this kind of stuff like freaks you out or you don't want to know, or it's going to scare you from like wanting to get pregnant, like just, you might want to click out of the video. By the way, nothing's too scary. Like, it is what it is. It's nothing you can't handle. Nothing was so bad that like I would never do it again. So just FYI, I don't want to freak anyone out. So the midwife came in and she was just checking my cervix and making sure I was okay. Actually, by the time I went from upstairs to downstairs into the labor and delivery room, when my doctor checked me, it had already actually gone up to 2 centimeters already. So I'd already been 1 centimeter dilated just in that like 2 hours that I'd been at the hospital. So I'd already gone up 1 centimeter. So it was almost like my body was already naturally kind of going into it. So she did, when she checked my cervix, the only thing that hurt is she told me, and I think she was trying to gauge, oh my goodness, what's happening? I think she was trying to gauge my reaction because she goes, wow, you're doing really good with this. Because at that point, it was just uncomfortable. It didn't really hurt or anything. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I mean, like, kind of like, what am I supposed to do? Like, just whatever, do what you need to do. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm okay. And then all of a sudden, she started to do something that really hurt. And I started to be like almost grunting a little bit because it was hurting so bad. And she's like, okay. She's like, yeah, now I'm sweeping the membranes. And I was like, okay, you kind of set me up there. Like, you saw that I was doing okay before, and then you took that and like decided to use that advantage to sweep my membranes, which, by the way, I will just say it was not pleasant. It was like just a lot of cramping. So when I started like grunting, she stopped. She's like, okay, that's enough. So anyways, at that point on, she did say, okay, we're going to put the balloon Foley in. So what they do is they put it into your cervix and they put like a saline solution, I believe, into it, and it puffs up. Obviously into a little balloon, and basically what they call this is ripening. So they leave it in your cervix. It takes a little bit of time. They told me probably around 6 a.m. So they put it in at 7 p.m. and they said probably around 6 a.m. the next morning. They were hoping it was going to be at around 3 centimeters dilated. And when it gets to that point, the balloon Foley automatically just falls out. Once again, like I said, kind of graphic. So if you're not into this, yeah. So putting it in and all that, it did not hurt at all. But when she left, I will say I was really uncomfortable, and it was because the cramping, and that was though because I think of the membrane sweep. And she did say too though that I think the balloon fully might have caused a little bit of it. They said it does cause a little bit of cramping. So I did get a little bit of medicine to help with that, which by the way, it did help a ton. So basically that night we just kind of waited. It didn't fall out, even at 6 a.m. It didn't fall out. They thought it was going to fall out really early because of how much my body had progressed just when I was in the hospital, but it didn't. I think it fell out at around like 8 o'clock in the morning. Maybe a little bit earlier than 8. And at this point it was just me and my boyfriend at the hospital. My mom wasn't there yet because I didn't want her to come because I knew that like not much was happening. So that next morning, which by the way was Friday morning, I think once it fell out, they started to induce me at around 10. My OB came in, I talked to him, and he kind of got me situated, told me what was going to go. He said, we're just going to start to induce you slowly and we're going to progress. They did warn me it could take up to 3 days, especially because it was my first baby. So yeah, we were just kind of prepared to wait. So my mom got there, they had started the Pitocin, and we kind of just sat there, and I think around maybe maybe even later than that, but I think around 2 o'clock my OB came in and saw that not really much was happening. He was like, oh, you're still smiling, we need to fix that. So this is when things kind of get a little crazy. By the way too, like my blood pressure had calmed down a lot just in the time we were at the hospital as well. It was still elevated, but I don't think it was nearly as high as it was when like the first time they had checked it. So anyways, yeah, just throwing that out there. So he came into the room, like I said that we needed to fix the smile on my face. And he upped the Pitocin and he was like, okay, we're gonna break your water. So at this point, no epidural, nothing like that. I was really in like no pain. I felt a little bit of contractions, but not that much. Like it was barely anything. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was probably about honestly a 1 or a 2. It was like nothing. I could feel them. I could feel the contractions, but it wasn't painful at this point to where I couldn't like focus or anything. I was still talking, laughing, having like a good time. So he broke my water, which by the way, once again, I'm just going to be honest, it did not hurt at all. In my personal opinion, I didn't have no medicine in me at this point, no epidural, nothing. I've heard some people say it both ways. I've heard they say it hurts really bad. I've heard some people say it doesn't hurt at all. In my personal opinion, I did not feel really anything. I felt a pop and that's it. And not like a painful pop. It would just like pop like a balloon and that's it. That's really all I felt. It didn't hurt. But within 2 minutes, like literally between the time the doctor had popped my water and he walked out that door, my contractions started so strong. So it went from about a 1 or a 2 to like a 3. And at that point, like obviously the nurse kept coming in asking me what my contractions were, asking me the pain level. And at this point, really quickly things started to like happen. So I lasted about, I think, maybe an hour and a half, I think, after he broke my water. This time I progressed to, I think when he broke my water I was at 4 centimeters. I think by the time they gave me my epidural, I believe I was at 6 centimeters, if I remember this correctly. But I believe I was at 6 centimeters. So I possibly honestly could have been lower, not that many centimeters. I can't remember because it was such a blur. My mom probably is going to be watching this being, no, that's not right, but whatever. Basically what happened was my contractions started to become even though I was not dilated that much, they were coming every minute and lasting for about a minute. And my mom and boyfriend were just there like trying to help me. And like my mom, they were timing it and they were like, wow, like these are so close together. And my mom was like, if you want that epidural, you need to tell them. And so she was like, you know, you also need to remember it's going to take them a little bit to get in here with it. So like you need to like let them know. And so I told her, I was like, so like after she said that, I think it took me maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And I was like, Mom, I was like, I need the epidural. And I was in a lot of pain. And I think that if they weren't coming so frequently, I would have been okay. And I could have lasted a little bit longer. But because they were coming every minute, they were only like a minute apart. I'm sorry, I'm just not gonna try to be a warrior here. It is what it is. Like it hurt, and that's what it is. And I have nothing to prove. I'm not getting a cookie after this for not having an epidural. If you do, honestly, I don't know how you do it. Seriously, good for you. Honestly, it's amazing. But for me personally, it's just not my thing. I'd rather be comfortable. So it really hurt. So I was like, okay, I need that epidural. By the way, too, at this point, they were like at a level 8. Like they went from a 3 to an 8 within like literally 30 minutes. It was really painful. So this is where also things get like really in the story. So we decided between the 3 of us, we sat there and they were like, okay, one person can be in here during the epidural. And Matt said, I'm gonna let your mom be in here because she's done this before, because obviously I have like a million nieces and nephews. She was like, so he was like, she's done this before, I'd rather her be in here with you while they do it, because my mom said I don't care either way, it can be whoever. So I was like, okay. Then my mom's saying Matt left. So they had me sit up, get ready to get the epidural, feet over the bed, everything like that. I was dealing with contractions at this point. She realized as the anesthesiologist was coming in, which by the way, he came in like 2 minutes. It was so quick. At least I feel like it was. It was no more than 5 minutes, I honestly believe, from when they called him to when he got up there. He was so quick. The nurse was like, oh wait, I need to talk to you outside, to the anesthesiologist. So they went outside and talked for a minute, and she comes in and goes, I forgot, we need to get another blood test. We have to send your blood down to the lab to get another platelet count, because if your platelet counts are not right and you get an epidural, it can be dangerous. So I was like, are you kidding me? So me and my mom were really annoyed because my contractions were so bad at this point. So she was like, okay, you have to lay back down. Like, just lay back down. They took my blood. We were waiting for the lab. They tried to rush it. I will tell you though, I don't think it was more than probably 10 minutes. Everything was very quick. I will say that. They were very efficient and quick. But I was in so much pain, and at this point, this is when I never thought I was going to be one of those girls that was screaming like a crazy person. So if camera angle is different or anything like that, I had to like clear some stuff off my memory card. But I think what I was saying is I never thought I was going to be one of those girls that like you could hear me down the hallway. That was me. I was in so much pain at this point. I was also really irritated and mad because of them having to be like, oh wait, never mind, you can't get your epidural right at this moment. We need to take your blood again and get it sent down to the lab to get checked. I'm like, are you kidding me? So my mom was like, I've never seen my mom's face like that. She was so worried about me. I mean, I was okay. It was just like so painful, but I was like in so much pain. It's just like for me, it felt better to like scream it out, if that makes sense. I could not sit there and be quiet and like, for me, that wasn't working. Like, I needed to like, let that anger of the pain like get out, and screaming was how I did that. So anyways, did that for a little bit. The nurse is in there with me trying to like help me breathe through it with my mom. Sits me up. And the anesthesiologist is in there once again so quickly. Once they got that okay, he was in there setting things up. He was so quick, so nice. I really appreciated it. And I remember telling him, you're about to be my best friend, my new best friend. And my mom was like, I think he's everybody's best friend. And I was like, seriously though. So he talked me through it the whole time. Once again, just my personal opinion. I was not scared of the epidural. I know a lot of people like are scared of the needle. I'm just in general not scared of needles. To me, I felt a little bit of stinging when he put the needle in, and it kind of like stings, radiates down your back a little bit. But once again, to me, it was like on a scale of 1 to 10 pain wise, my contractions were an 8. This was like a 2. It felt like nothing. Like honestly, it was possibly even a 1. It was like nothing. I would do it like 1,000 times again, honestly. So he did it so quickly, so efficiently, talked me through the whole thing, and he was like, okay, you're probably gonna feel like at least 2 more contractions. He was like, I'll probably take another 10 minutes. And then or 10 minutes to fully kick in. He was like, but you should be good. And I was like, thank you so much. And I'm actually being honest, once I laid down, I didn't feel another contraction, not even one. After he put that in me, and I don't know if it was just like I was calm because I had gotten epidural and I knew that everything was going to be like okay at that point, but I didn't feel anything. So yeah, that's how the epidural went. I didn't really personally think that it was horrible. So at that point, Matt came back in, and we just kind of chilled. Then I would say, I don't know how much longer. Here, baby. I don't know how much longer after the epidural, because like the time is really messed up, but I would say a couple hours later, I started to feel a lot of pressure and like I needed to, my goodness. I started to feel a lot of pressure and like I needed to push. And at this point she checked me and I really hadn't progressed that much. I think I was still only like 6 centimeters dilated, and I was like, well, I like really feel like I need to push. Like I don't know what to tell you, but like this is like getting to the point where like when a contraction comes. So when you have an epidural, sometimes you can feel a little bit, not to where it's painful, but you can just feel a little bit, which they kind of want, because if you can't feel your contractions at all, it's going to be really hard for you to push because you have to push on contraction, and that's kind of a lot on instinct, you know, since you're the one that can feel it. So I knew the pressure started really badly when I was getting a contraction. So every single time I would get a contraction, the pressure was so bad. And I was getting to the point where I was so nauseous during contractions. I was like, this is ridiculous. And she was just like, focus on something else, whatever, like try to do something else, like try. And she basically told me, she's like, if you try to push right now, like you're going to go straight from delivering that baby to the OR room to like fix you because you're going to be so messed up. She's like, you cannot push right now. And she said, like, there is something we can give you. There's another medicine. And she was like, we can give it to you and it should help with the pressure if you want it. And I think I waited and I told her, I finally was like, I need it. Cause like it was getting to the point where like, it's so hard when you want to push, it's like nothing's really going to stop you. And it was getting to that point where it's all like, I could not help it. Like I couldn't help the fact that I needed to push. Like it was literally like, I'm about to push. Like I can't help it. Like I can't hold it back any longer. It's just going to happen naturally and I'm not going to be able to control it. So I was like, I need that medicine because I don't want to end up in the OR after I deliver my baby. So she was like, okay, let me give it to you. So she gave it to me instantly, you guys. The pressure was gone. Like I said, they started my Pitocin around 10 in the morning this time. So I guess it was like it was sometime in the night, probably somewhere between 8 o'clock and 10 at night. So I had been doing this for about 10 to 12 hours at this point. And so she even came in at one point and was like, wow, she's like, your heart rate isn't spiking anymore when you get a contraction. She's like, it must have worked. And I was like, yes, it did. Thank you so much. By the way, loved my nurses, loved the doctors. I was so happy with how everything turned out. So she came in because she was checking and I started to feel that pressure build up again a couple hours later. And I think maybe it was around 10 at this point. And I told her, I was like, I'm starting to feel the pressure a little bit again. And she was like, okay, let's check you. Let's see what's going on. And I think at this point I was like 9.5 centimeters. And she was like, okay, let's lay on this side. Let's get you on this side. And let's try to, because we were trying to get her to come down a little bit. She was already down. We were trying to get her to come down a little bit, as well as we were having a really hard time keeping up with her heartbeat. And her heart rate kept dropping. So at this point, her heart rate was dropping a little bit and she was like, okay, you know, I think we're at the point now. She had me turn over a couple times. Every single time more amniotic fluid kept coming out. And she was like, okay, she was like, you know, she was like, I think we're good. She was like, after a little bit, she was like, let's start some practice pushes. So during my contractions, her heart rate would drop a little bit. So, we did some practice pushes, and when my OB came in, he did say that we you know, with her heart rate and everything, that he was like, you know, we don't like to do C-sections. It's like a last resort thing. And not they don't like to do them, but if they know that like someone's trying to go natural, they try to do that as a last resort. If they can get the baby out naturally, that's how they would rather do it. And by naturally, I mean vaginally. So so he was like, you know, he goes, you know, we're gonna do everything we can to not go to like have to do that. And he was like, but I will tell you, he was like, I'm pretty sure the cord is wrapped around her neck. He was like, now she can handle it for a little bit because her heart rate keeps spiking back up. He was like, that's a good sign. That means that like when she moves a certain way, it means that it's relieving some pressure. He goes, you know, she can handle it for a little bit, so we're gonna try our hardest. So at this point too, they also had me on oxygen. So they gave me an oxygen mask to give her more oxygen. When he said that, I remember like my mom and my boyfriend's face, like they looked super concerned for me, because it looked like they I think they thought that I was super worried. In that moment, to be honest though, if I'm going to be completely honest, and this isn't because I didn't care the cord was wrapped around her neck or something, I had like this weird calming over me, and I don't know if it's because I trusted my doctor so much, but I just wasn't honestly that worried about it. I was, you know, I wanted to give birth to her, but I had this feeling, I said, you know, we're in the hospital, I'm in the best place I can be, and I'm confident that she will be delivered okay, and that these doctors will make sure that she's all right. And I really honestly wasn't too concerned. My boyfriend kept sitting there telling me, he's like, it's okay, it's gonna be okay, and she's okay. And I was just like, I know. And at this point I was so exhausted, I was like halfway falling asleep, and I had the oxygen mask on me, and I just wanted to push and get her out. So he gave me, I think, 15 minutes with the oxygen mask. And like I said, I had actually think I'd gone through 2 rounds of pushes already, like where they had me push for a little bit, they gave me 15 minutes, they had me push for a little bit, and now I'm on my like second round of 15 minutes of like oxygen mask and resting for her sake, because he kept wanting to give her a break. He came back in, he was like, okay, let's do this. Let's get this baby out. And this is when things started happening. Like a million people started coming into the room, and I noticed them, but I was so focused on getting her out that I didn't really like pay attention to them. So he comes in and I start to push. And I think this time I pushed for like a total of like an hour and a half. And mind you, that was still with the 15-minute breaks. And also, let me tell you too, my contractions they were 6 minutes apart. They went from being 1 minute apart when I was in all that pain to the second I needed to start to push and I was 10 centimeters dilated, all of a sudden they were literally 6 minutes apart. So half of the time, I feel like in that hour and a half, we were just sitting there waiting, and I could feel the pressure. And every single time, oh, also too, my monitor stopped working for not only her heart rate, really, I mean, they had that one, I think, kind of on, but my monitor stopped working for my contractions. So we would have to go by feel, for the doctors would have to feel, and I would have to feel. So I would have to feel that pressure build up, and every single time I'd be like, okay, I start feeling the pressure, they'd be like, okay, let it build, and then they'd say, okay, push. And I pushed, and I didn't even notice, but I did, because he told me, he goes, okay, he goes, the next round, he goes, I want to see this baby. He was like, we are going to, because you guys do have to remember, she had the cord wrapped around her neck, so he couldn't wait too long to get her out. He goes, okay, so we are going to, I'm going to have to use a suction cup. So they use a suction cup to get her out, basically. They suction it to her head, and that's how they kind of pull her out. So the next second, I just notice, like, all of a sudden, I just know that she is pulled out of me. I could feel her, and there she was right there. I didn't even know until after the fact, but I will go ahead and say he did give me an episiotomy. Is that how you say it? Episiotomy? I think so. And I didn't even notice. Matt said that he did the episiotomy, and then the next second, like, used that suction cup, and she was like, he did the episiotomy, and like the next second she's just flying out, and he catches her. unwraps the cord around her neck, turned her around, smacked her butt to make sure that, like, to get her to cry, and there she was. And he handled it so well and so quickly I could cry. Sorry, I was just so happy with my doctor. It's not even funny. My mom was so happy. Everyone was so happy with how everything turned out. He handled it so well. And yeah, she was fine. She was born 6 pounds 1 ounce on January 26th at 1:16 in the morning, a.m. And she was perfectly fine. She was healthy, and besides the fact that I had to use a suction cup on her little head and she had the little like bruising from it, she was perfect and the bruising was gone, not even like 2 days later. But this is not where the story ends. So I get put into my post-delivery room, my postpartum room, I guess. I don't know what they call that. I don't know. And with pre-eclampsia, if you know anything about it, you know that it is supposed to, it basically, giving birth is the only way that it like basically goes away. You have to deliver your baby and then it will go away. Well, like I said, this was, I delivered her at 1:16 in the morning, technically on the 26th, which was technically Saturday, even though it was like in the middle of the night on Saturday. And that next Saturday, everything was good. We went through the whole day, had people visiting. We did have to change rooms because they were closing the wing down that we were in to work on it. So we did change rooms. We had people come. Everything was good. I was like literally the happiest I've ever been. Felt amazing. Just so happy. Then the next Sunday, they told us we probably wouldn't be able to leave until Monday because she was so early. They wanted to monitor her and just make sure everything was okay. And also because of my blood pressure and everything, which by the way had calmed down again. So they said we wouldn't leave till Monday. On Sunday morning though, my doctor, my OB came in and cleared me for the okay to leave. Practitioner at the hospital though would not clear her, and I was really upset. I was crying. I had a moment of just being really upset, but she wouldn't clear her because of her jaundice levels. They were not, she wasn't jaundice, but they were like borderline, and she just wanted to make sure that she was okay. And because she was born 3 weeks early, they wanted to make sure that she was okay because like she still was super little, you guys. We were like not expecting this at all, how little she was. She was a pound under than what they had measured me the day before I had her. So she was really little. We had to go and buy preemie clothes for her 2 weeks after we got home from the hospital. Like that's how little she was. She fit in nothing. She wouldn't let us go. And it was once again a miracle in disguise. So later that night, once again, this is on Sunday night, so I had her technically the day before in the morning. And she was doing amazing, and I thought I was doing amazing. And they came in to do a routine blood pressure check, and my blood pressure had like skyrocketed again, like really high, higher than when I had came in. Once again, if the camera angle has changed or anything, this time my camera battery overheated. They get the doctor in there and he basically sits down and says, so they're usually pre-eclampsia will kind of just fix itself after you give birth. He was like, but there's a 5%. There's 5% of women out there that, or where it gets worse. Guess who is in that lucky 5 percentile? Me. So he was like, so what we have to do is, he was like, we're gonna put you on a magnesium drip, which we'll get into in a second. He was like, now this is not fun. It makes you feel funny. It's a 24-hour drip. We start you off really strong. We give you a lot, and then we tone it down for those 24 hours. He was like, and then after that, yeah, you'll be good to go. He was like, but with how high the blood pressure is. It can cause seizures and all kinds of other stuff, and this is the only way for a fact I know you will not get seizures, and it will prevent seizures. So we need to do this right now. I was incredibly scared. I wasn't allowed to eat because magnesium drip. I'll get into like what it is. Let me talk to you guys actually about my initial reaction. I was really scared, but at the same time too, I had, once again, just like, I was like at this point like a blank, like I was just kind of staring off into space the whole time from this point on after he told me that, because it's at this point it's kind of like, what am I gonna do? My life is like kind of almost at risk here. I mean, it could really turn into serious things, strokes, things like that, like really bad stuff. I was like, my life is kind of at risk here. This is a horrible situation, and he's doing what he has to do. If you guys know me personally, one of my biggest fears is nausea and throwing up. You okay? And the magnesium drip is known to cause that for some women. So that was honestly my biggest concern. I didn't want to be getting sick the whole night and I had to take care of her. I had a newborn, obviously, like a baby that was only a day old, and I was just really concerned for a lot of reasons. He did say, we do have to take you back down to labor and delivery because of how much we have to monitor you. We don't have the equipment or people up here. So I had to get moved again. This is now I think the third, fourth time I've changed rooms. So we go back down. I'm kind of just at this point in a daze because I didn't know. I was just not looking forward to it, and at this point I wanted to get it over with. I wanted this whole thing to be done, and I wanted to go home with my baby. So we get down into the room. There's like nurses down in the room waiting for me, and like the look on all their faces, you guys, it was horrible. They just looked at me like they were like pitying me. It was horrible. And like I get down there and they're just like, you poor thing, and I'm like, oh my god, this is just great. And like their reactions are just awesome. Like they looked like nervous and like sad for me, which did not make the situation any better. And they were like, okay, we need you to get changed again. I'm sorry, I know like you don't want to be back in a hospital gown, but we are more than likely going to have to put another catheter in you. You guys, I just given birth. Something going up my vagina, I'm just going to be very blunt, like not even 48 hours after birth really freaking sucked. Like the thought of that really was not appealing to me. I was like, yeah, it was. So anyways, so I had to get changed. The good thing was is that I like knew all the nurses at this point in the freaking hospital. So I had the same nurse that I had the night that I had actually started the balloon fully. So she was really nice, and it was nice because it was a familiar face, and she was just so amazing. And at this point too, it was just me and Matt. My mom was supposed to come this day, and at this point I was just like, Mom, I was like, this might get disgusting and bad. I was like, so just honestly, just stay home, and I just need to get through this. So they were trying to decide whether they were going to put the catheter in me. The biggest concern for them, magnesium treatment makes you really wobbly and loopy. It makes you feel funny, gives you hot flashes, possibly causes nausea and throwing up. That's why they don't let you eat. After 12 hours, they may let you eat depending on how you react to it. But yeah, so their main concern with me getting up to have to go pee is that I would lose my balance and fall and hurt myself even worse or something. So that's why they wanted to put the catheter in. Obviously I just had a baby, so that's not the ideal situation. No one wants to put a catheter, in me when I just had a baby and all kinds of other stuff. So ultimately they did decide to do the catheter. He came in and he goes, I'm sorry, like I hate to do this to you. He was like, we all sat out there at the desk like for 15 minutes deciding what we were gonna do, but like we just feel like this is the safest thing and the best thing for you. I'll be honest though, it didn't hurt. I was fine. I was really happy about that. She kept saying, just breathe, like, it's all right. And honestly, I was okay. I really didn't feel much. which is a good thing. They started the magnesium drip, I think, at around 7 o'clock at night that Sunday night. And I felt the effects almost immediately. I just felt super hot and just kind of like out of it, like really weird feeling. I don't know how to describe it. You just feel really weird and like hot. Thank God I was in a labor and delivery room and had one of those fans above me because I needed it. So they came in and they checked on me all the time. They obviously continued checking my blood pressure. Almost immediately my blood pressure had dropped significantly, like a ridiculous amount. I was like 119/70 or something within like not even 30 minutes. So they put that pump of magnesium in you for the first 15 minutes and then they do it to like a slow drip for the next however long, like over the next like obviously like 24 hours. So they continued all night. I didn't get nauseous or throw up. I didn't have that side effect of it. Thank God, honestly, like I'm so grateful. I just had that like very wobbly, loopy, not really even loopy, but just that very wobbly, like just hot, like weird feeling the whole night. It was not nearly as bad as what he like made it out to be, and I know it gets bad for women, so I'm not trying to downgrade it at all. Just my personal experience was it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, which I was very, very grateful for. Don't get me wrong, I know some women get it and it's horrific. I mean, it's if you look it up, it's supposed to be terrible. It's supposed to be horrible. I happen to be on a better spectrum, on the better end of the spectrum when it came to that. And I told her too, like one of the first things she said, she's like, we want you to get rest. And I was like, will I be able to sleep? Like, will I be able to take care of her? And she was like, oh yeah. Which I thought it was going to be so bad where like I wasn't going to be able to sleep. Like I thought I was like going to be getting sick and it was just going to be horrible. Like, you know, like one of those things. But I was able to take care of her the whole night. I was able to feed her. I was able to pump. It was really, honestly, it was not as bad as I thought. And it was so good, in fact, that the next morning at 12, I didn't even have to go the full 24 hours. They actually let me, they actually took me off the magnesium drip and they put me back up in a regular postpartum delivery room to finish, you know, my stay at the hospital. So at this point, it was Monday. And it was Monday at 12 when they let me back up into a regular postpartum delivery room. They did say, okay, obviously you're not going home today. We're going to keep you overnight again just to make sure your blood pressure doesn't spike again. We're going to start you on regular blood pressure medicine. So they did that. My blood pressure the next morning, by the way, after the magnesium treatment, you are very wobbly. I had a hard time walking. For sure. Next morning, my blood pressure had actually gone up a little bit again. So they kept me once again and I didn't go home till the next day, which was Wednesday. So, and the only reason I actually went home that day, they actually ended up switching my blood pressure medicine because that medicine was known to cause headaches. So they switched it because I was having headaches. Which when they switched it, my headaches completely stopped. That Wednesday morning, the only reason they really let me go home is because she had her first doctor's appointment and my blood pressure dropped enough to where they weren't really that concerned about it. I stayed on blood pressure medicine for 6 weeks. I am now 8 weeks postpartum. I'm off the blood pressure medicine. My blood pressure is normal again. Everything is good. I will say though, that whole situation with the magnesium treatment and everything like that, that's the first time in my life I've actually been scared for my life, and really concerned about my health. It was really scary. Just knowing all the stuff that could happen, it was really scary for me, especially knowing that I now have a newborn child that like relies on me. It was a very scary situation for me. But I got through it and here we are 8 weeks later. She is now over 9 pounds. She's a happy baby. We're 2 months out, almost, and we're doing good. It was a very rocky experience. I loved the nurses, loved the doctors. It would have been a lot worse if they weren't so amazing. All of this to say that even though all of that happened, I literally have told everyone I would do it all again tomorrow. Like, I'm ready to do it all again tomorrow. I was not even Like I was literally had just got home from the hospital for like been at my sitting in my house like on the couch for 5 minutes and was like telling Matt I want to have another baby. Like I am ready to do this again. Like I said, I don't want this to scare anybody. I would do it a million times, honestly, a million times over again. It was the most incredible experience ever. It was painful. It was the hardest, one of the hardest and most painful things I've ever had to do, but so incredible that I would do it 1,000 times again. So it's just beautiful, and it's something that is so amazing, and once you experience it, it's just so incredible. And in my personal experience, I know not everyone feels this way, but in my personal experience, I've experienced it once and I would love to experience it a million more times. Pregnancy and everything, it's just all so amazing to me, and I loved every second of all of it. So I'm excited to have babies, more babies in the future. Matt and I are, you know, he wants one more, I want a couple more, but we'll see what happens. You never know. But yeah, that was my labor and delivery story. A little dramatic, a lot happened. It was all very unexpected, but once again, I cannot stress this enough, not horrible to where I would never do it again. I'd do it 1,000 more times. So let me know what your labor and delivery looked like, what your stories are. Leave it in the comments below. Let's discuss with each other. Let's kind of help each other's fears out, talk to each other. I want it to be like a discussion, that it's not as scary. Like I'm someone that I want to hear like the raw and the real, and I want to know exactly what happens in every single little detail because I want to be prepared for it. I'm not someone that likes surprises, and I think just discussing and talking other moms down that may be scared and have fears is really helpful, and can really help a lot of women out there that are scared to even get pregnant because of certain things during pregnancy and labor and delivery that they have fears of. So let's just help each other out, be supportive, because I wish I had like a really detailed labor and delivery like this, and there probably were some out there. I think once I got pregnant though, I was too scared to watch them, but I hope that no one is scared. Now looking back, I wish I wasn't so scared to watch them, because I think knowing and having information is a good thing, and being educated about certain topics is really good. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, you guys want to talk to me, any moms that are going through maybe similar things or are about to deliver, go through labor, anything like that, and you have questions or are scared or something, you want real honest open details more than what I put in here, let me know. Like follow me on Instagram, message me. I am more than willing to talk about really anything, and help people out. So just don't feel hesitant to reach out to me, and ask questions or whatever else you want to do. This is my first baby. This is my first time going through it, and if it's your first time and you just have questions or whatever, just let me know, and I would love to talk to some other moms. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it a lot. Don't forget to subscribe, all that good stuff. Turn on your notifications. I don't know if that even works anymore, but you know, do it anyways. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.